when we say 70s sucked, this is what we're talking about, but we're not talk we're not talking about it, um, at this point realistically. At the time, we were just I mean, I was there. I was at Comiskey Park, and whenever it was that Steve Dahl, was it, had us bring out all the albums for the Disco Sucks Burning at Steve at
I remember when he did that.
right, I
That
was
went nationwide.
I know, I was at the one that started it. I was right there, and I
I
remember we
didn't
did
know
all
that.
that. And then there was another time we did something similar with, Cat Stevens albums. But, remember that when he went whatever, so
Yeah, he
he went,
went
"Not us,
some
that's all that counts.
some
We don't have to talk
different
about it." Right.
religion.
Right, he went s well, anyway, he went sideways, and so sideways. But anyway, the fact of the matter is, though, looking back on it now, when I hear these songs, it takes me to the exact same happy Gen X '70s childhood memories as any other song. I mean, I could listen to Chip Away at the Stone off live bootleg from Aerosmith, or I could listen to, Kiss Alive, 100,000 Years, or Peter Chris's drum solo, or whatever, Michael Schenker and UFO, whatever, although that's a little later. But still, when I think of this, when I hear this stuff, it reminds me of all the places that I went, all the things that were fun. Because the fact of the matter is, when, like, for instance, my parents had lots of parties at the house, they weren't listening to the songs I just mentioned. They were listening to these things. And it's the energy of the time and the fun of the time and the just sort of carefree of the time that these songs still, for me, hold a hell of a lot of value. And I no longer think disco sucks. I think disco was an interesting experience, and experiment. It didn't last long. Maybe it grew into other things, kinda like rock grew into whatever grunge became. But I mean, I have no I would listen to a soundtrack. I'd put on the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack today and be just fine.
Oh, I can listen to disco now. I like it.
You know who I also like a lot? This is crazy. Gen X! Barry Manilow. Listen to that live Barry Manilow album. His raw musicianship and just showmanship, and the songs are good. I mean, it's just like
Copacabana.
exactly, all of those, and I write the songs. I mean, seriously, I don't know how that happened, but they're attached now to the good memories that I have of Gen X childhood, not just the crap that came along opinionated along the way. If you sort of separate that opinion from it and just see it for what it was fun and exciting, and if you don't agree with me, that's fine. You probably have songs I never can cotton to, as they say in the South. But Troy, any closing thoughts on disco, our brief one and only ever disco sucks love fest with
Well, we
disco?
got right there in front of us "Miss You" by the Rolling Stones. Greg actually bought the extended version that was a disco song.
Right, and look at this. If we get exactly, Miss You as a disco song. At the other end of this, we have the other abomination, which was Walk This Way as a rap song.
Oh,
We'll get to that later. That's a few years down the road as things continue to deteriorate. But, anyway, but look at this. We do have, a little bit of the rock world still going. We have Lay Down Sally. We have Miss You, as you just pointed out. Billy Joel obviously will always be in the sort of rock-ish category, and certainly somebody I think that all of us, unless you just have something out about his songs. I mean, I lived outside of New York City for a couple of years, way back a million years ago in the last century, and they loved it there. And that sort of brings me back to that time. So I love Billy Joel. Love is like oxygen. Here we wow. This is kind of transitional, wouldn't you say? This
yes.
almost begins to sound like the early new wave type sound,
Yeah, "Love
you
is Like
know?
Oxygen," but they had that that was a
Dun,
crazy song.
dun, 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 dun. Right. It has that sort of Stand By Me sort of background, but then
Yeah,
this
oh,
crazy right. And then this love is like this sort of disjointed thing, which gives it this sort of quirkiness, which is, I guess, to me anyway, some of the early parts of the new wave thing was sort of, the quirks that changed it or made it different. Queen, there we go. Queen, we'll rock you, blah, blah. All right, we're going long on this. Oh, but there we go. We have Foreigner, Rod Stewart. So we do have them as we're going down, but Carly Simon, a song we haven't heard, maybe you have, but, let me stop this share. I think that was as far as FM songs, that was pretty much it.